Hey, good morning. It's Mark here with another morning rant. Got some news here about good old Donald Trump. Because I'm gonna go in on Donald Trump every chance I get. I think he should have been in jail years ago. But when you have quote unquote money, anyway, did it to me again. Hold on, people. There we go. All right, here we go. Trump's accountants quit in the midst of preparing his and Melania's taxes after questioning discrepancies. Donald Trump's longtime accountant has suddenly severed all ties with the former president and his business, quitting while in the midst of preparing his and Melania Trump's tax returns. In a letter made public Monday by New York Attorney General Letitia James, the accounting firm Mazars USA told the Trump organization's top corporate lawyer it had stepped away from Trump and his business because of questions about the reliability of key company financial statements. News of Mazars USA's stunning move surfaced in papers filed Monday by James as part of the New York prosecutors' inquiry into possible banking, insurance, and tax fraud on the part of Trump and his business. Since at least 2004, Mazars has prepared annual financial statements, so-called statement of financial condition, containing details estimated of Trump's net worth. This is the document. This is the document that Trump would send out to potential lenders and things like that to say, "Hey, here's my what they called it. Here's my condition. Here's my statement of financial condition. You can see by my statement of financial condition that I'm well capable, more than capable, of paying back my loans. So give me a loan, give me a low interest rate, let me do my business, and I will, I'll pay you guys back." Well, they're saying that since 2004, you can't trust that statement from 2004 up until now. Trump has used these statements to secure hundreds of millions of dollars in loans and insurance over the years. In court documents filed over the past 2 years, Letitia James, has alleged that Trump exaggerated his worth by trying to impress bankers and downplay his worth when seeking lower taxes. Last week, after a review of the AG's office filings, Donald J. Trump and the Trump Organization's former accounting firm informed the Trump Organization that the statement of financial conditions, I digress, forgive me, it wasn't 2004, from 2011 through 2020 should no longer be relied upon, James wrote in papers filed Monday. James filed the papers in Manhattan Supreme Court as part of the civil lawsuit seeking to compel Trump, his daughter Ivanka, and son Don Jr. to comply with subpoenas from her office requiring their documents and testimony. As part of the filing, James included a copy of the letter Mazars sent to Alan Garden, the chief legal officer of the Trump Organization. In a letter, Mazars' attorney William J. Kelly tells Garden that after speaking with the Attorney General's office and after their own investigation, they realized the accounting firm could no longer represent the former president or his business. The statements of financial condition of Donald J. Trump for the years ending June 30th, 2011 through June 30, 2020 should no longer be relied upon, the letter said. We have come to this conclusion based in part upon the filings made by the New York Attorney General in January 18 of 2022, our own investigation, and inform received in internal and external sources, the letter continued. While we have not concluded that the various financial statements as a whole contains material discrepancies, based upon the totality of the circumstances, we believe our advice to you to no longer rely upon these financial statements is appropriate. Let me jump down. Let me read this. Mazars' lawyer went on to say that continuing to do accounting work for the Trump Organization will be a non-waivable conflict of interest, meaning the Trump Organization, if there is a conflict of interest and the Trump Organization understands that conflict, they can waive that conflict in order to keep getting their accounting done. But now they say that it's a non-waivable conflict of interest, suggesting Mazars is weighing its own potential criminal liability. They're trying to back away. As a result, we are not able to provide any new work product for the Trump organization. A letter continued, adding that the Trump tax returns were among the limited number that still remain to be filed. There's a tax return. There's a tax return. There's a tax return that's due. There's some documents that's due to some accounting people today, February 15th. And it has to be due today. So what's going on is Letitia James is on her stuff. She is on her stuff. She's not playing around. This lady is meticulous. She's methodical, and she's patient, and she knows her stuff, and she's using the power of the Attorney General's office to get what she needs to get done. This is Donald Trump saying, I am worth this amount of money, so give me a loan. But when it's time to file taxes, I've lost a lot of money, so give me a refund. So that's what he's doing. Now, don't get me wrong. People do it all the time. The question is, so like, let's say you try to reduce your earned income as much as you can on your taxes. But when it's time to get a loan, you want your credit score to look good, you want your income to look good, you want everything to look good when it's time to get a loan or a car loan or a credit card loan for poor people like us. And when it comes time for taxes, you want as many deductibles as possible. So Trump was doing the same thing. So what's the illegal part? The illegal part is if he's knowingly and willingly taking those, like withholding information, withholding documentation to prove his true financial wealth, or true financial worth. If he's taking that and deliberately lowering his taxes or lowering his income to say, hey, we're not going to turn in this document. We're not going to turn in this document. We're going to show that we are as poor as possible when it's time to file taxes. But when it's time to get money for loans, we're going to give those documents and show that we have money. And so that's what they're doing. They're saying that Trump deliberately did this. And the Mazars USA company, who was filing those statements from 2004 or 2011 up until now, could they have been complicit? One of the things that happened with the Enron scandal, and I love reading about the Enron scandal, one of the things about the Enron scandal was that Arthur Anderson, the accounting firm that was doing all the accounting and agreeing to all of the accounting that Jeffrey Skilling and Andy Fastow that they were doing was legit. That even though Andy Fastow, who's the chief financial officer of Enron, even though he was the president of the Raptors, or what's another one of the companies, LJM1, LJM2, and LJM3, him being the CEO of these companies and being the chief financial officer is a conflict of interest. But everybody waved off the conflict of interest, so Fastow can continue to, number one, wipe off the bad debt of Enron, and number two, pump up the financial aspects of Enron to make Enron look good. But you got a conflict, because is Andy Fastow being the CFO of Enron, or has he been the CEO of LJM1 when it come time to do deals with Enron? So you got a fox in the hen house, because this man can be thinking LJM1, but he's on the Enron side. So that's a conflict, a blatant conflict, and they wave it off. Mazars are saying, we can become the next Arthur Anderson. We can go down in flames, because Letitia James is proving in court that they have found discrepancies in Trump's tax returns and Trump's financial disclosures that can prove that somebody was fixing his books for him to get him those loans, to reduce his liability. So Mazars USA said, look, we done. After 10 years of doing these tax returns, we're done. We're not going to file this year's tax return. We're not going to file it. We have a conflict of interest. So a non-waivable conflict. So what does that mean? That means that no matter what Trump and his Trump organization tries to do, we can say, nope, there's a conflict. We're not getting involved. We're not doing it. And again, there's a document that's due. Let's go here. Let's go here. I was going to bring this guy in, but he's a little, he's going to explain it.
Company that's been doing Donald Trump's tax returns for a number of years, Nicole, and they informed the Trump organization and then sent the letter along to the New York Attorney General's office, who has included it in a court filing that they made public this afternoon, essentially a notice to the Trump organization and Trump's attorney, Alan Garten, that the statements of financial condition as they pertain directly to former President Trump can no longer be relied upon from June of 2011 to June of 2020. They say that they've concluded this after the filings made by the New York Attorney General back in January. Their own internal investigation and information they've received from internal and external sources, they say as a result of this, they have a non-waivable conflict of interest. In other words, the Trump organization can't just say, oh, well, we realize there's a conflict of interest, but we waive it. You know, you guys can stay on board anyway. Mazars has made the determination that that conflict of interest is too strong here, and as a result, the Trump organization and the former president can no longer be clients. They say, and I think this is important to note, while we have not concluded that the various financial statements as a whole contain material discrepancies, based upon the totality of the circumstances, we believe our advice to you is to no longer rely upon these financial statements, or no longer rely upon these financial statements is appropriate.
Now watch this. What's crazy about this whole thing is Mazars USA provided, they built these financial statements. Letitia James in her office essentially found what an accounting firm could not find. And go back to their statement. Where is it? Let's see. Hold on. Let me find the quote. It's in here. I just read it. That here we go. We have come to the, is that right? Yeah, it's up here. All right. We have come to the conclusion, based in part upon the filings made by the New York Attorney General on January 18th and our own investigation. So wait a minute. You had to wait for Letitia James's office to do it before you did your own internal investigation? I guarantee you, Mazars USA was not doing any kind of internal investigation until Attorney General Letitia James did her investigation. So an Attorney General of the state of New York who don't deal with tax returns on a regular basis, her office, Mazars USA, is an accounting firm, and her office beat them out on their own investigation. The math ain't mathin'. Is that what they say now?
They also say that they have some outstanding tax returns, including those of the former president and his wife, former First Lady Melania Trump, and those are due on February 15th. They said there's some outstanding information regarding an apartment belonging to Matthew Calamari Jr. That they're waiting to get information on before they can file those tax returns. Bottom line, what does this all mean, Nicole?
Listen to this.
It means that potentially Donald Trump, when he goes to a new accountant, he's going to have to go to a new firm to prepare these types of financial statements, which are then passed along to banks, insurance companies, other financial institutions that he wants to do business with. If that next accounting company or firm determines that the president's financial condition is not as strong as the one that was presented in the documents prepared by Mazars, it could make things more complicated for him if he was to seek a new financing, for instance, for future business propositions or potentially for other sorts of loans that he may have outstanding. It could also increase or decrease the interest rate that he might have to pay on those loans. So there's all sorts of potential types of issues that could come up in the presentation of these documents when he goes to a new firm. Of course, it could find that the president is potentially in a better financial condition as well. I don't want to excuse that possibility, and so that could make things easier for him. But bottom line is some changes are coming for these reports. It's a significant amount of time. If this were a public company, this would be a significant financial disclosure that would have to be made through the SEC. These types of things usually.
And that's the thing. That's the thing with Mazars. Mazars is a private company, so so if they were a public company, then like he said, the FEC will have to not FEC, the Securities Exchange Commission. I'm sorry, SEC will have to get involved. But there you have it. There you have it. They are slowly tearing Trump down. It's going to take some time. The house of cards are finally coming down one by one. And even if the Democrats lose the House in 2022, if they lose the House, if they lose the Senate, and these things that are being investigated go away, he still have problems in Georgia. He still have problems in New York. So state problems. So we'll see. But I'm going to leave it at that, people. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I will see you guys on the next one. Happy Tuesday, and I hope you guys have a great week. All right? Y'all take care. I'm out.